Last week we talked about disasters, and I don't mean my preaching, but some of you went straight there, in your minds. So we talked about disasters last week and how to flip the script, and said that it may help you to see yourself in the midst of a disaster. It helps to remind us that God is in control, and it can help us to build trust in God when we face some kind of a disaster. Some of you have faced some difficult things in your life. You've gone through maybe some disastrous times. I relate specifically to, as I mentioned last week, the Hurricane Beryl down in Carriacou, and the devastation that they faced down there, and was a lot that they've had to deal with and are still dealing with in some ways. So we're going to talk today about delays. And so have you sat at the traffic light before, and you're the second car, and the light turns green, and the car in front of you waits more than 2 nanoseconds, and you're laying on your horn, to get them moving, get them going. That's kind of the world we live in today, it seems like. I don't remember where I was driving actually earlier last week, and I was sitting there, and I mean, literally, the light turned, it went green, honk. I mean, it was, I didn't honk, but it was somebody who honked. But I mean, it was just instantaneous. It was like it was tied from the light to their car. Green, go, and that's, so the delay is a tough thing for a lot of us. So why would you say that impatience is so prominent in today's culture? What are some reasons why we tend to be impatient? And maybe you're the most patient person around. I don't know. I'm going to guess no, but why is impatience such a problem? Okay, so why? I mean, why is that the case? Okay, the boss will be looking or something. Okay, yeah. Okay, so sometimes it is. It's an overwhelming feeling of what I have to get done. And so I've got to keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. And if somebody slows that process down, Cynthia? So did you look at my notes already? Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about how to flip the script, but sometimes the impatience, who is it? Gwen. Okay, so it's still weighing on your mind. You're still dealing with this, and now this come. Oh, great! Now this delay. Okay, and it makes it harder, Jerry. Okay, yeah, and just feel like we're always running behind in that sense. Sure, sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's right. It's their fault. Okay, it's their fault. If they'd just be moving, I would be on time. Yeah. Okay. Okay. One of the other things, I mean, at least I think that has its effect as well is, I mean, if I wanted to research something before, I mean, I had to go over and grab a book off the shelf, or maybe even go to the library and, find the book, and then find whatever it is, and then read, and then find another book and read that, and maybe it takes me all day. And now, I mean, in split seconds, I can make a search and have 15,000 places I can go in just a click of my computer. So, I mean, we're adjusting to that. Some people are adjusting, some are fighting, clawing, and, trying to keep it away. But that's the case. It's just so different, our world, as far as that goes. I mean, microwave's been around a while, but you can heat it up in 30 seconds, and it used to, you're going to have to cook it on top of the stove, or you're going to put it in the oven, and you're going to wait 30 minutes, or you're going to wait an hour and a half, or whatever. I mean, we're in kind of an instant society, so we tend to become impatient along those lines, it seems. I can remember can you remember when you got your first credit card? I mean, that you could get something right now and you could pay on that, for months or years to come. We have kind of the instant gratification in different respects in that way. So I do think it makes it harder. Tell me three things that you only have to tell me one, okay? But we'll come up with at least three. Three things that we're in a hurry to get. I mentioned credit cards. Some people, that's a big thing. They wanted to get a credit. I can remember trying to establish credit. Now I see 12-year-olds walking around with a credit card in their hand. So, I mean, that's a different world from that. What? What's that? Better health? Okay. And I'd like it right now, if that would be possible. Okay. What else are we in a hurry to get? Okay, get a debt paid off, maybe get our house paid off, car paid off, whatever it might be. Was anybody in a hurry to get your driver's license? When you were young? I mean, I was. The idea that I could drive, to me, 15, I can get my permit, 16, I can get my license. I mean, I was in a hurry to get that, hurry up and get that, hurry up and have that, get my own car. That was a big, big deal, at least for me, it was. What else can you think of? Okay, independence, be an adult. Yeah, the ignorance is bliss, of when we're young and don't know. What else can you think of? Yeah, okay, you ordered it and it should be here already. That's right. What's taking Edwin so long to get this delivered to me? Okay, so but it is a situation where we want it now. We want it now. I ordered a pair of shoes the other day, and it said it said 3 days, and it took about a week and a half, and it was like, okay, my money's gone. This is never coming back. It did. They finally showed up, but it took a week and a half. So I mean, just think, I had to wait 10 days. That was actually, it wasn't that hard, but. So now let me go back to something that Cynthia was talking about. Describe a time when you wish you had waited. Can you think of a time when you wish you had waited or things had delayed? Okay. All right. I found my wife that way. My girlfriend broke up with me in college, and I thought my world was over. The bottom had fallen out of my life, and found amazing when I found Melissa later. So, she's not in here. So, let me rewind. I'll play that in the sermon. Okay, when she's in. No, but that is true. That is true. Somebody else that you're glad something waited, or you had to wait, right? Okay. But I'm talking about it, I mean, yes, but I'm talking about a time that maybe you wish you had, or it was a good thing that it did wait. All right, so anyway, maybe I'm talking a little too boldly for us to move on and see. So let me talk about it from a Bible standpoint, okay? We're going to flip the script. It may teach you patience, okay? I don't know how good you are with waiting. Anybody in here real good with it? Diane, you're good with waiting? Okay. Huh? Really? I don't think I'm getting any better at it myself, but I'd like to. I don't feel that way. Look at Proverbs chapter 16. Let's go book of Proverbs, one chapter after what Brian just read for us, chapter 16. Look at verse 32. I'm reading out of the NLT this morning. Better to be patient than powerful. Better to have self-control than to conquer a city. So, better to have patience than it is to have power. That seems like that's sometimes it seems like it'd be the other way around, right? I really wish I had more power, but it's better to have patience than it is to have power. Look in Galatians chapter 5. Galatians 5th chapter. And those of you who are good Bible students may know that this is right in the discussion of the works of the flesh and fruit of the Spirit, in verse 22 and 23. It says, but the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And against such things there is no law. The old version says long-suffering. It's the Greek word makrothumia, to be able to endure and suffer for a prolonged period of time. And as Christians, we should have that kind of an attitude or a fruit about our life that makes us beneficial in that way. So patience is very highly valued, but again, it's something that we have difficulty with. If it's not convenient for me, then I lose patience, or we tend to lose patience. So let's talk about this a little bit. Since it is a God-given quality, it's something that we ought to have in our life. It ought to be something that characterizes us as Christians. How do we do that? How do you build patience? What are some things we can do? Give me some specific things we can do. Okay. Okay, so how do we develop that patience then? I mean, okay, it's a day-by-day work of trying to care and help somebody maybe that's in need. All right. What else can you think of to help develop patience? You can pray about it, sure, and ask God to give you patience. And when you do that, what should you expect? What? Trials, because trials are what are going to challenge you to have the patience to deal with the situation. So, I mean, that can be a dangerous thing to pray for. Eric? And she's sitting right next to you. Okay. Marilyn? Okay. Okay. Yeah, is to find something where you can, I mean, you actually, it forces you to develop that kind of patience within you. Pat? Yeah, you are the only one just saying that. You're exactly right. Okay. But that's a great idea, though. I mean, you farm or you go fishing. The fish don't just jump in the boat. It might. I mean, that's a rarity. You might take 4 hours and you get 2 bites or whatever the case is. And do you just say, okay, well, I'm done fishing. I'm never going fishing again because I didn't catch anything. Well, a fisherman goes back the next day or the next week or the next opportunity again and again and again. You throw the line over here, that doesn't work. You try a different bait, whatever it is. But you just say, okay, I'm out here. I want to go fishing. So that's so I'm gonna call on the fish. Steve, you were gonna say. Okay, yeah, all right, exactly. So what else can you do? I mean, if it's that important, Karen. Okay. Okay, all right. So I'm looking to see what I might be able to do for someone or to help someone, rather than just what am I going to get out of this and how soon is it going to get here? Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Joe. Right. Okay. Yeah. Last week, one of the points we made that God is in control that can help us if we're going to try to flip the script. And sometimes I think it is an important, characteristic to understand. Yeah, I don't have, I'm not in control of this issue, or I'm not in control of the world, or whatever it is that may be going on. So I just need to kind of step back and let it happen, whatever it does. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, it certainly can or should. I mean, a lot of people they don't see that, but you're exactly right. I remember a friend of mine that used to, when we lived out in Washington State, he was really into computers, and as they were just coming out, and I mean, it was whatever the newest computer was, he was going to go out and get it, and I mean, he had it today, and he said to me, I don't know how many different, this only raised my payment $3, or this only raised my payment $4, or whatever the case was. So, I mean, I can handle $4. But you're exactly right. He ends up paying twice as much, or whatever the case, for something like that. Um, right? Absolutely. Yeah, certainly should be the basis of it. All right. So let me give you. I'm going to give you some specific ideas. This is from a group that helps to work, kind of what Joel was saying, people that are dealing with anxiety issues or whatever the case might be. Let me give you some things. You might write these down if you're an impatient person, and I'll go as quick as I can if you're impatient. Sorry. Number one, look for small opportunities to practice patience. So it kind of goes along with what Mary said a few minutes ago about you might plant a garden. I mean, the beans don't come up overnight. It's going to take days, weeks, months, depending on what it is that you've got in the ground. Number two, practice mindfulness. Here's what they mean by that. I was kind of curious what they meant. So the next time you notice yourself becoming impatient, acknowledge your experience and try to simply observe what your emotions are that you're experiencing during this time. Just try to be mindful so that you're more aware the next time. Number three, shift your perspective. Sometimes shifting your perspective can make all the difference in the world. Instead of viewing the situation as a frustrating obstacle, maybe it's an opportunity that I can slow down, as has been mentioned before in here this morning. I can pause, I can reflect, maybe I can even learn something during this period. Number four, accept what is out of your control, as we just mentioned. Number five, be kind to yourself. That is, being patient. Being patient doesn't happen overnight. It is a practice that one usually requires. To be patient with other people, you've got to be patient with yourself and cultivate that. Number six, remember what matters the most to you. You know, some of the times that the things we become so impatient about are really not that big a deal. I mean, the car in front of me that's waiting 3 seconds before they go. I mean, how much better off am I if they had just charged as soon as that thing turned green? 3 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. It's not going to make a world of difference. But remind myself what is really important. What are my long-term goals? Value those things most. Number seven, practice meditation. Develop some kind of a practice where you slow yourself down specifically for that purpose. Number eight, manage stress and anxiety to keep it at impatience at check. So just when you see that something is stressful, something is creating anxiety, try to deal with it before it becomes the big thing. Number nine, make sure you're getting enough rest or sleep. And number 10, go to a calming routine. And I think there's a great idea in this, and that is of having something that you can do. You know, my mother used to say count to 10, and I could count to 10 real fast, and it didn't help me. But my mother's idea was, you know, you slow down, you count to 10, or you quote a Bible verse, or whatever it might be that helps you to just kind of, okay, let me just kind of readjust myself and have a calming routine to help me out in that. So those are some things. If you find something helpful in that, that's good. If not, then it was free. Okay. So the second one, okay, that's the passage we read. So secondly, it may remind you that God is in control. Let's look in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. Well, 2 pages stuck together. There we go. Chapter 3, beginning of verse 1. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Turn, 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 said the birds. Don't know if you knew that was actually a Bible verse or just lyrics to a song. Birds sang that back in, I don't know what year it was. 60-something would be my guess. But yes, ma'am. The answer is yes. Okay. There is a time. I don't know when that is, whether that's today or 10 years or whatever down the road. I mean, that's the thing with all of us, that we do not know. But the point of this passage is life goes on. There's a season, time, it just moves. Life and death moves on. Harvest and planting, that goes on and on and on. That's a great way to look at it. That's exactly right. That's the way that we ought to look at it, regardless of how young or how old we are. That God has something for us to do or a plan. So are there actual times for each of these? Yeah, I mean, there is. And so, I mean, you can plant at the wrong time of the year, correct? I mean, you can have your soil all ready and prepared and go out there and plant, and you don't bring a harvest in. You plant at the wrong time. It's not the right time to do it. And things just happen, and they happen at whatever pace they happen. If any of you were ever young who were in here, and you remember what it was like to wait for Christmas or your birthday or something like that, how long did it take? It took forever, okay? You know, I mean, it's next month. It's going to be, 30 days away. And 30 days, seem forever and ever and ever, okay? But there is a time it comes around ultimately. Dave? I have. 7 times. No, I'm okay. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Patience is important. And I'm trying to say, what we need to do is be able to flip the script. It may remind us that God is in control. I don't have control of all these things around me. Do the best that I can in the situation. Look at 1 Peter chapter 5. 1 Peter chapter 5, beginning of verse 5. In the same way, you who are younger must accept the authority of the elders. and all and all of you must clothe yourselves with humility as you relate to one another. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So humble yourselves under the mighty power of God, and at the right time he will lift you up in honor. Give all of your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. So what is the reward for humility that he says here? I mean, what benefit is there for me to be humble before God? What? Okay, he's going to exalt me because, see, I'm recognizing and I'm accepting that he's in control. It's not me. He's in control. So if I humble myself before God, and that really seems to be the point, God exalts me or us. He helps to carry our burdens in those situations. And humility is often not associated with patience, is it? I mean, because, see, if I'm patient, I'm able to just kind of sit back and take things in check. But if I'm impatient, it's because I've got to get, like you're saying, I left the house late, I got to get to work, I got to be here, I got to do this, and so it's all about me. It becomes very, very much about me in those moments. But if I'm humble, I've got this humility about me, I'm able to take a step back and say, okay, the patience part of it should be an easier fix for me. It should be something easier to hold on to in that regard. When God made the covenant with Abraham in Genesis chapter 15, he told him what was going to happen in future days. He told him that Abraham would die in peace, but his descendants would go into Egyptian captivity and they would be afflicted for 400 years. God showed him his control and told him the reason for the 400-year delay. He said, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. So there is an aspect that it should help us to realize God is in control of all of this. And he waited and waited and waited hundreds of years before the Amorites were destroyed because their iniquity was not completely full yet. Now, Abraham and me and you, oftentimes, we want justice right now. I want to see justice right now for me because of this, that, or the other. And God says it's not time yet. It's not time. They're not to the point that you think they are. They're not to the point that they need to be destroyed in all that. So you see, God was behind it all. He controlled the world then. He controls the world now. All things were created through him and for him, and before him all things consist or hold together. God is the one, he's the glue holding this world together and it operating as it does. Now, I can be very impatient about it and struggle with big things or little things, but oftentimes there's nothing I can do about it. Yep, Dane. Right? Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a good point to keep in mind because, I mean, it may be, but it may be completely that God has allowed these things to happen as you suggested in his providence. But ultimately, God is in control of all that is going on in this world. He is what holds it together. And so we need to understand that it may help you to see that, even in a time of delay. Let me move on to this third one this morning. So it may show good things come to those who wait. This was already suggested a time or two. Some Bible characters remembered this. We could look at some things. Job is an example who is exactly what Dane was saying. What happened to Job was not because God afflicted him and made him this delays in his life. God, in his providence, allowed the Satan to do this, and the Satan afflicts Job, and Job is blessed wonderfully at the end. Now, I don't mean by that, and some people even take that position of saying that detracts from the book, which obviously it doesn't detract from the book of God, if that's how it happened. It's my misunderstanding. But Job lost his children, Job lost his reputation, Job lost all of his possessions. He lost all of this in the beginning of the book. At the end of the book, he comes out as the valiant hero, and he is restored in so many ways, abundantly blessed, and he has a whole new crop of kids. Okay, so does that take away from the pain that he lost the other children? No, certainly it wouldn't do that. Any good, godly man or woman who suffered that, but yet there was great things that came to Job, and he was able to shine. The passage I just mentioned about Abraham in Genesis chapter 15, Joseph in his life, Joseph went through a horrible period of delays over and over and over again, as we've been looking at on Wednesday nights, and he comes out shining on the other end as a great example. Hannah had to wait. There are other Bible characters that we could look at that sometimes it shows that good things do come to those who wait. And I need to remember that as well. But this last one, let's see. Yeah, James 5:11. We count those blessed who have endured. You've heard of the endurance of Job, and you've seen the outcome of the Lord's dealings, and the Lord was full of compassion, and he was merciful and is merciful. So this idea that good things do come, or oftentimes come to those who do wait. All right, then the last point is just to remember that God's God's delays bring about salvation. There is a stark contrast with God's forbearance and delays and man's desire to speed up God's plan. We want things done a certain way in a certain time period, or whatever the case is. And yet we ought to be glad that God is delaying still today. People say, well, what's going to happen in the world? Where's the world going to? And what's going to happen in this? And I don't know. I know God's in control, and I know the longer that he delays in sending his son back, the more opportunity we have to reach those who are lost. And we have an opportunity to reach out to our neighbors, our friends, people all over the world, the missionaries that we're supporting, and so on. But you see, sometimes people get to the point and they think, well, when is it all going to end? It'd just be better if it just was over right now. If God just would turn off the switch and everything was done. Okay? Have you ever heard anybody say something along those lines? Okay? I've had people say that to me. But just be better if God just, right now, it's all over and done. My kids are in a good place, or I'm in a good place right now, so Lord, come quickly. But the longer he delays, the more opportunity we have to talk to our friends, our neighbors, our family, and try to reach them with the gospel of Jesus Christ. I don't know how many times. I have no count, no idea how many times my brother Mark tried to talk to my mom, that I tried to talk with my mom, that Melissa tried to talk and study with my mom. I don't know how many years that went on. And finally, one day when my mother was 69 years old, she obeyed the gospel. Thank God that she did, and I'm happy for that. But I just thought, when is this ever going to happen? Will it ever happen? I can remember just pouring out my heart to my mother, or Melissa, or my brother Mark doing this, and just working and talking and teaching and begging her. And thankfully, she lived long enough to obey the gospel and be a Christian for almost 20 years of her life. So I'm thrilled about that. we need to see that God's delay brings about salvation. It's an opportunity for you to teach somebody, for me to teach somebody. Look in 2 Peter chapter 3. 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 9. This is an important verse for us to recall in this. The Lord is not really being slow about his promise, as some people count slowness or think. No, he's being patient for your sake. He does not want anyone to be destroyed, but he wants everyone to repent. So, one more day, you might get to talk to somebody. One more day, you might get to encourage somebody. One more day, you might get to see somebody obey the gospel and change their life entirely. Look at verse 15 of the same text. And remember, our Lord's patience gives people time to be saved. This is what our beloved brother Paul wrote about to you in the wisdom of God, speaking these things in all of his letters. So he said, God's delay, God's waiting is an opportunity for one more person to come to Christ. Turn to the book of James. Let's look at James chapter 5. James chapter 5, beginning of verse 7. Dear brothers and sisters, be patient as you wait for the Lord's return. Consider the farmers who patiently wait for the rains in the fall and in the spring. They eagerly look for the valuable harvest to ripen. You too must be patient. Take courage, for the coming of the Lord is near. So he's telling again to hold on, be patient, recognize that God is working, God is doing things. Look in Romans, the second chapter, Romans chapter 2. And at verse 4, don't you see how wonderfully kind, tolerant, and patient God is with you? Does this mean nothing to you? Can't you see that his kindness is intended to turn you from your sin? I need to be impressed. You need to be impressed with the majestic wonder of God's great love and patience. I'm glad he's been patient with me, and hope he still remains patient with me in that regard. So, is there anyone that you know, family, friend, loved one, neighbor, co-worker, anyone you know who hasn't accepted the gospel of Christ yet that you just hope they will? Maybe God's delaying today so that you have that opportunity to reach out to them. That you give them a phone call, you stop by and see them, you talk to them and encourage them one more time. I mean, I've got some children and some grandchildren in my life that I hope to God that he is patient and waits a little while longer. That I want to see them come to Christ and to be faithful. It's that very situation that being patient with God and what he's doing in my life to see what might be an opportunity in front of me. So what I would suggest to you, since we've been talking about patience, okay, so some of you said, yes, there are people in your lives, then let me encourage you to do something about it. Reach out to them. Give them a call. Stop by. Whatever it is that you need to do, try one more time. And then if it doesn't happen today, guess what? Try one more time, okay? And if it doesn't happen then, try one more time. And just keep on trying and trying and trying. So in light of that, maybe we ought to pray for God to delay and wait for more opportunities to obey the gospel. All right, anything else that you want to say today, that you want to add to this discussion about delay? Yes, sir, Steve. Yeah? Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't making the connection. I got it now. Okay. All right. I appreciate that you at least listen occasionally. That's nice to know. I don't know if anybody else does. I'm A little doubtful on that. So, all right. Anything else that you wanted to mention today? Somebody? Yes. Brian, yes? Or are you pointing to somebody? Oh, Amber. Okay, I didn't see. Okay. Okay. Okay, I can see that. Sure, that's a great idea. So I'm on the straight road or the curvy road today. Okay, or in this situation. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, yes. Now, Brian. Okay, so the curvy road is the good road. I mean, the straight road might be the good road today, but okay, I get what you're saying. I mean, I see what the point of it, but uh, yeah, that putting our lives more and more and more in God's hands is really the key. The closer I get to God, the closer that I understand God's working in my life, the more I can understand day by day by day, or if I can't understand, at least accept. Okay, Diane? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think that's what Amber's saying. Yeah, I mean, that you get this perspective, and you might even pick some people up along the way because they're dealing with certain things in their life as well, and you get to that same place. All right. Anything else? Thank you for being